as a member of Compass was actually founded on the first Podcar conference back in 2006. And we were at Uppsala, and it was a newly open test track in Uppsala with these pods. And when the test track have done their work to have security certification and everything on the pod cars, and having the first track sold in Sundsjön, then the test track was closed down, and then we bought this pod, and it's standing there. And on this Podcar conference, Compass take another step. We also include another mode of transportation, autonomous minibuses. So these two are our focuses. And quite a number of cities and municipalities is in our network, either active or passive. And we're aiming at finding a better way of transportation. We need that, not just cars. Transportation for everyone. And back to your question, Clara. Are we stuck with the car forever? I just dig into the figures, latest figures in Sweden, and it certainly looks very, very bad. We are buying more cars in Sweden last year than we have ever done. And if I compare the figures from 1970 and today, I can see that we have twice as many cars. Before we had one car per 4 person and 4 Swedes, and that goes from 1 year old to 100 years old Swede. And now we have a car by every second Swede. And lorries goes 4 times, and I think the figures is low because we have a lot of foreign cars on our roads today, more than we had back in 1970. And the figure for the public transport, the buses, look like shit. Basically. Back in 1990, the World Bank, UN body had these slides up to say that it's this is the capital of Georgia, Atlanta, the capital of Catalonia, Barcelona, the same size, and they are. One is built on public transport and one is built on cars. And the figures up there said that if Atlanta would like to pick up the same level of public transports, it has to add another 3,400 kilometers of metro lines. And the World Bank come to the conclusion that Atlanta is actually stuck with the cars. It's no way of having that investment, and that's and the urban planning area we call this urban spread. And back in 1990, it was alarm: please, not more urban spreads. And what's happening? The opposite. We're going for more and more urban spreads. It's a catastrophe. And this is, if it goes too far, it's no way out. I saw also a drawing from here by Professor Gösta Karlgren. Simplify a bit how the urban structure look like if you are into the car-oriented way of building things. And he called it bubble plans. And this is also showing how this urban spread is going about. Let's dig into one of these bubbles. a bubble can be looking differently, and the idea is that it should be safe to in this area, and according to Kubbersjö, it should be either residential, industrial, shopping area, or office area. It should not be mixed areas, but the result is that everyone have to buy some food sometimes. Then you have to go to from the residential bubble to the shopping bubble, and sometimes you have to go to work. Then you have to go to another bubble and whatever. And if I try to serve an area like this with buses, how to do that? I live here. No buses goes up here. It's on top stops there, and then it's too far to go. So it's really impossible to do good public transport in these bubbles. The problem is that this was not in the 50s, 60s, 70s. It's still, this is from today's planning guidelines. So we're still building these bubbles. And these bubbles force us, unfortunately, to the conclusion, Clara, with these bubbles, we're also stuck with cars. Or can we do something about it? What? I go back some books, some centuries back or millenniums back to learn something else. Before, in the ancient time of Greece, an area where people integrate should be accessed from all direction, not just a single direction in a bubble. It should be all direction, and preferably by a harbor or because the sea was the main transport before. And here's from Antwerp, close by. Street life. Shouldn't we have more street life? Isn't that what we are aiming at? So, the question is, if this is the structure, the fabric, the urban fabric, how to solve this? Or are we just stuck with the cars forever? This is not a solution, but it's part of the solution. To bring connections, have more connection between them. For instance, this can be the pods over there because that is elevated, and then you can connect the bubbles without demolishing it or have it. I think that is fairly possible way without too much trouble. And maybe connecting the other ones and connecting the two, and then you have connection, connection, connection. Better, more looking like the Agora type of it. Not every bubble will flourish and have living urban life, but some will flow. And I done some studies together with Ingmar actually in Upplands Väsby, how to connect different bubbles in a town called Upplands Väsby, which is separated by a railroad and a motorway. And you maybe see a little pods here. And here's the work done by a construction company, how to make more access to an area by pods. So, make more connections, and if we can swap the map from the car-oriented, like Gösta Karlgren, into a personal transit map, this maybe be the way to see it, because it should be much more a backbone with public transport in the cities than it is today. And this can be automated minibuses, or it can be pods, or it can be many other things. Thank you, Clara.